Thanks, Count Corla. I'm sure, Minister, that you do appreciate how sickened people are by what you call the vampire tapes. But I wonder, could you also appreciate that really the questions people have is not about who said what to who, about whether politicians were just incompetent or incompetent and corrupt. The real question that people have is, what are you going to do about it? And to be honest with you, slagging off Fianna Fáil and waffling on as the Taoiseach did here for the last 2 days really isn't going to cut it. You might be interested to know that there are 26 members of the Czech Republic Parliament in custody at the moment for crimes of a less serious character than what went on in Ireland 5 years ago. 5 years ago, the banking crime of the century, the theft of billions from men, women and children in this country, and nothing has been done. And the Taoiseach told us yesterday, it takes time. We're preparing a book of evidence. The exact same line that was given 2 years after the crisis. It's utter nonsense. What other crime would be treated in this way? Where is the fraud squad? Where is the Criminal Assets Bureau? This is what they were set up for. Any other crime scene would have been surrounded and the evidence taken. It was 6 months before they made a visit to Anglo, 2 years before they even got the passwords. And the reason why it's different is that there's a different attitude to crimes committed by people in suits. They're not considered to be real crimes. Also, of course, the fear that if they had gone in, it might have revealed a connection to the political establishment. Now we have a scenario where we're expected to believe that a newspaper whose owner this time last year took Sean Fitzpatrick to the European Championships and then quashed those photographs from being printed are now at the forefront of investigative journalism. We're expected to believe that the Garda Commissioner, who we know has a legal responsibility under the Garda Síochána Act to inform the Minister of serious matters of public interest, didn't inform the Minister about these very serious tapes, and yet they ended up in the hands of one of the Guards' favourite sources of information. The greatest challenge is we are expected to believe there's something unusual here. There's nothing unusual here, Minister. The only thing unusual is the scale of the arrogance, the scale of the delays and the scale of the inaction. What I want to ask you, Minister, are two questions. These are crimes. Why are the people who committed them not in jail? And if you, who are in power, say that our laws are inadequate, what are you doing about them? We've heard a lot from the Labour Party how you haven't voted for the bank guarantee. You voted for every other cut to pay for it. There is 25 billion in bonds in the
Deputy, would you please resume
on behalf of the government to cover the promissory notes. What I'm asking you, Minister, is that we know that once issued, this becomes sovereign debt. Given the fact that it has been revealed that this decision was made on misinformation, will you now commit to cancelling and not paying those bonds and making the Irish people pay for the crimes of others?
Now, I want to be quite clear about this. We've now got into a habit. It's now nearly 11:05. There's 2 minutes to ask a question and 3 minutes to answer them, and 1 minute for a supplementary. I'm going to start sticking to that rigidly. Now, I'm switching off the microphones if you don't adhere to the rules. On both sides, yes. So will you please adhere to the rules? Minister, you have 3 minutes to reply. Thank you. Well, I'll do the chair if you don't mind, Deputy McGrath.
First of all, let me say, I think that going on what happened on a previous occasion, Deputy, I think we all have to be very circumspect in what we actually say in here in relation to matters which are due. I understand and I hope to come before the courts, as I understand it, early next year. And I think it is right and proper that people who have been involved in what has happened to this country, this major disaster, should come before our courts. And I do not think that anything should be said here that would jeopardise the courts dealing in their proper way with those matters. Secondly, I want to say that in relation to what happened and the tapes that are now being disclosed. We have legislation here before the Dáil as we speak, which is in relation to the powers of the Oireachtas to carry out investigations. Now again, just let me say, we've had no less than 4 scoping inquiries, first by Klaus Regling, the second one by Patrick Honohan, the Governor, the third one by Nyberg, and we also had a 4th inquiry into the functioning of the upper echelons of the public service in the context of the events that had happened, carried out by experts from Canada. Now, I think that we actually, in fact, have had a great deal of inquiry and investigation into what happened. And I think what is important is that we should be able, with all of that material that's available, to proceed to an appropriate inquiry. In relation, though, to people being arraigned before the courts, obviously, the operation of the justice system and the prosecutorial system in Ireland is properly independent of the government of the day. But I can say to you that the Gardaí and the prosecution authorities have, via the Attorney General and via the Minister for Justice, indicated that it is expected that the prosecutions will be underway in court in the new year.
Thank you. Deputy Daly, 1 minute. Thank you.
I think, Minister, I have to say it's utter nonsense, your point about due process or the system being potentially tainted. There are facts here. Laws were broken. This criminal activity happened, and those who were responsible for it haven't been brought to book. And I don't think that the people out there are interested in Oireachtas inquiries. The critical thing, actually, that they're interested in, that those responsible would be brought to account, firstly, but more importantly, that everybody else who was paying the price for their crimes would be released from that life sentence. And you, unlike what you did in the past when you were in opposition, have an opportunity to do that now. What I am asking you is, why are you asking the Irish people, forcing the Irish people to pay for the crimes of these bankers while they walk free? You have the power to cancel the bonds that are under the central bank. Let the ECB take a hit rather than special needs assistance, rather than parents, rather than mortgage holders. The choice is now with you, and harking back to the past won't cover you on this one.
Minister.